Chapter 1. 300 adult cadets are laughing at me, and I have been alive in this body for less than a minute. I am face down on a marble platform. My mouth tastes like dust and someone else's bad decisions. Memories that do not belong to me are pouring into my skull like water through a broken ceiling, and every single one of them makes me angrier. This body belongs to Naren Vale, officially renamed Ryland Pierce in the Academy registry after his family sold his birth name to cover a debt. 23 years old. The lowest ranked Omega in the Imperial Academy. Magical score 0.
Combat score, insulting.
Sent glands scarred from years of suppressants he never agreed to take. 6 semesters spent carrying books for stronger cadets, finishing their assignments, and apologizing when they shoved him into walls. I have inherited a professional doormat. Here is the problem. Before I woke up on this platform, I was Tate Rhodes, a disaster response coordinator in Philadelphia. I died in a building collapse because 3 executives ignored my evacuation report. My last thought was that powerful men would rather bury people than listen to them. I am not doing that twice. I push myself up, brush the dust off my plain gray uniform, and stand. The laughter stumbles. Apparently the doormat has never stood up this straight before. A tall Omega in a silver-trimmed uniform steps in front of me, holding my rejected team application between 2 fingers like it smells. Sterling Wynn, the Academy's highest-ranked Omega. His memories in my head come with a full soundtrack of humiliation. "No captain selected you," Sterling announces to the crowd. "Withdraw before you embarrass yourself further." I take the application from his hand and read it. There are 13 team slots on this form. 12. Squad 13 was dissolved. Then it is available. I pull the ceremony pen from the podium and sign my name in the 13th slot. Captain Ryland Pierce. The laughter dies completely. Provost Garrett Crow pushes through the crowd, a gray-haired man with the warm expression of a tax audit. A valid squad requires 4 accredited members. Cadet Pierce. Perfect. I need 3 people with poor judgment and no fear of career damage. That is when the courtyard gates open. The Triplet Alpha Kings walk in beneath black and gold banners, and my new body betrays me instantly. Their scents hit me all at once. Cedar smoke, winter rain on cold parchment, sun-warmed spice. My knees consider resigning. I overrule them. Blaine Hawthorne leads, midnight hair and amber eyes, built like an argument nobody wins. Ridge follows, silver-black hair tied back, watching the courtyard the way a judge watches a lying witness. Coulter comes last, bronze hair a mess, wearing the smile of a man who has never once faced a consequence. 3 heirs to the Empire. 3 commanders of the Academy's elite squads. 25 years old and worshipped by everyone here. Blaine stops in front of me. His presence presses down on the courtyard like weather. "Join my squad," he says.
No.
The entire Academy forgets how to breathe. His eyes narrow. "That was not a request." "Then you need more practice making requests." Coulter laughs out loud. Ridge covers his mouth with one gloved hand, which fools no one. Ridge tries next, smooth and reasonable. "Your placement would be reviewed fairly under my command. I have read your command's disciplinary record. Fairness is not the word I would use." Coulter grins. "Rotate between all 3 of us. Everybody wins." Does royal education include listening comprehension, or is that extra? Blaine has heard enough. He reaches for my application to tear it up. The moment his fingers touch the paper, the world changes. Golden threads bloom across my vision. Thousands of them, connecting every cadet, every weapon, every magical crest in the courtyard. Most are thin or tangled, but the 3 kings are a catastrophe. Their power is enormous, and it is at war with itself. Blaine's fire eats Ridge's ice. Ridge's pressure crushes Coulter's lightning. Coulter's energy rebounds into both brothers like a trapped storm. They have been hurting each other every second of their lives and calling it normal. I do not decide to fix it. My hands decide for me. I touch the application, follow the threads, and pull the pattern straight. The storm goes quiet. All 3 kings go rigid at the same instant. Blaine's breath actually shakes. Coulter grabs his own chest like he dropped something inside it. Ridge stares at me the way a scholar stares at a book that should not exist. "What did you do?" Ridge says. It is not a question. It is an accusation wrapped in wonder. "I fixed your terrible teamwork." "You are welcome." What happens next, no one in this courtyard will ever recover from. Blaine takes the pen from my hand, crosses out his own elite squad affiliation, and signs beneath my name. Ridge signs second, unhurried, like he is executing a contract he has already read twice. Coulter signs third and adds a small lightning bolt next to his signature because of course he does. Sterling's face goes white. Crow's whistle hangs forgotten on his lips. 300 cadets watch the Empire's future kings place themselves on the roster of the Academy's weakest Omega. I should feel triumphant. Instead, I feel the paper grow warm under my palm. Heat races up my arm. A golden crest burns itself into the skin of my wrist, ancient lines locking into place like a key turning. Pain and power and something older than both. A voice speaks inside my skull, formal and cold, meant for me alone. Squad 13 restored. Royal Command authority transferred to Captain Ryland Pierce. I look up at the 3 most powerful alphas in the Empire, standing in a neat row under my name. They have no idea what they just signed. Neither do I. But somewhere across the courtyard, Provost Crow has stopped smiling, and that terrifies me more than the voice. Chapter 2. Crow hands me the keys to our new headquarters personally, which is how I know it is a punishment. The Eastern Tower has been abandoned so long that the dust has its own dust. Broken training dummies, collapsed practice yard, a budget small enough to insult a beggar. The kings stand in the wreckage waiting for me to cry. I clap my hands once. Excellent. Nobody comes out here, which means nobody interferes with us. Crow just gave us privacy and called it punishment. Coulter blinks. You are happy about this. I ran disaster sites for a living. This is a Tuesday. Point at Blaine. Debris removal. Anything that can crush a person, you move it. I point at Ridge. Property records. I want the full history of this tower. I point at Coulter. Supply inventory. Someone has been stealing from Academy storage, and you are charming enough to find out who. Blaine's jaw tightens. I am a military heir. I do not take orders from your captain. Finish the sentence honestly or not at all. I press a cleaning brush into his royal hand. Your fire destroys stone. Today we test whether it also works on mildew. Coulter has to leave the room. I can hear him laughing through the wall. Blaine stares at the brush like it insulted his bloodline. Then, to the shock of everyone including himself, he starts cleaning. Badly, but he cleans. While the kings work, I go recruiting. Concordance shows me things the Academy rankings hide, and there are 3 cadets whose threads glow in ways that make no sense for people labeled worthless. Brooks Avery is a beta healer who faints at the sight of blood. The Academy calls him a joke. His threads show he can redirect pain through covered contact without ever seeing a wound. They tested him wrong his entire life. Keaton Shaw is an alpha swordsman with 1 arm, expelled from an elite team the week after his injury. His balance threads are flawless. His problem is a sword built for a body he no longer has. I commission a counterweight blade with our pitiful budget and half of Coulter's allowance, which I take without asking. Arlo Benton is an Omega engineer whose crystals explode when anyone insults him. The Academy calls him unstable. I call him a weapons system with feelings, connected to Coulter's lightning as a controlled ignition source. His unstable crystals become precision explosives. Weakness, it turns out, is usually strength standing in the wrong spot. Within days, my misfits stop flinching when they walk through the Academy. Within a week, the kings start fighting over them like divorced parents. Blaine tries to dominate the training schedule. Ridge produces 40 pages of regulations proving the schedule violates itself. Coulter designs team uniforms without consulting anyone, and they are, I hate to admit, gorgeous. I solve this by appointing all 3 as assistant captains with perfectly equal authority beneath me. This makes everything worse, which I fully intended. Competing to serve is still serving. Blaine argues that security requires him closest to me at all times. Ridge argues that my ability requires scholarly observation by him closely. Coulter argues that he is simply better company, which is true and irrelevant. One more argument, I announce, and all three of you are demoted to kitchen service. The Empire can be ruled by men who peel potatoes. Silence. Beautiful, obedient silence. But the tower is not as empty as it pretends to be. Ridge finds it first. Pages torn from the property records, removed cleanly, decades ago. Someone edited this building's history and did not want it noticed. Then I find something worse. Buried in Naren's old belongings, wrapped in a childhood blanket, sit 11 glass suppressant bottles. The labels say behavioral stabilizer. The medical seal stamped on every cap belongs to Provost Garrett Crow. My hands go cold. Naren never bought these. They were administered. The scarring in this body's scent glands was not neglect. It was a procedure. I say nothing to the kings yet. Evidence first. Anger later. That rule kept me alive in Philadelphia right up until the day it did not. That night, alone on the tower stairs, my concordance flickers awake on its own. One thin silver thread runs from the tower's highest window out into the dark, stretched tight across the academy grounds toward the administration hall.
À surveillance thread.
Someone is watching this tower breathe. I follow the thread's anchor point down through the walls, and that is how I find the seam. Third floor, north wall, stone that is not stone. The threads bend around it like water around glass. A sealed door with no handle, hidden under a century of plaster. I press my crest-marked wrist against the seam. The wall opens like it has been waiting for me. Cold air rolls out of a chamber untouched for generations. My footsteps echo. Torch brackets ignite on their own. Gold light crawling across a round room built like a war office. Maps of the Empire cover one wall, marked with battle lines from a war I do not recognize. And in the center, arranged in a circle, stand 4 royal command seats carved from black stone. 4, not 3. I walk the circle slowly. The first seat bears a fire crest. Blaine. The second, a frost crest. Ridge. The third, a lightning crest. Coulter. Their family symbols, carved into furniture generations older than they are, in a chamber sealed before any of them were born. The fourth seat stops me cold. Its crest has been destroyed. Not worn away by time, burned. Deliberate scorch marks gouge the stone where a symbol used to live, the destruction so violent the seat itself is cracked. 3 kings signed my roster today. This room was built for 4. Behind me, in the dark stairwell, a floorboard creaks under someone's careful weight. Chapter 3. The floorboard turns out to be Ridge, who has the decency to look embarrassed for exactly 1 second before the chamber swallows his attention whole. He circles the 4 seats twice without speaking. When he reaches the burned crest, he stops breathing for a moment. I watch his scholar's face do something I have never seen it do. Closes. You recognize it, I say. I recognize the room's design. Wartime command architecture. He is lying by omission and we both know it. The 4th seat. I cannot explain. Cannot or will not. Captain. His voice is quiet. Some records are removed for reasons. Let me find out which kind this is before I put words to it. I let it go. For now. We have a combat examination in 6 days against Sterling Wynn's undefeated team, and I would rather win publicly than argue privately. Training becomes my religion. I rebuild our formation using the only playbook I trust, the one from Philadelphia. Disaster response is not about power. It is about placement. Blaine stops being a battering ram and becomes the barrier, a controlled wall of fire that protects instead of destroys. Ridge stops freezing enemies and starts shaping the battlefield itself, ice as architecture. Coulter learns the hardest lesson, that his lightning is worth more transferred than thrown, feeding energy into teammates instead of showing off. Brooks, Keaton, and Arlo create the openings. I stand in the center and conduct. The brothers fight daily over who trains nearest to me. Blaine claims security. Ridge claims scholarly necessity. Coulter claims charisma. I assign all 3 to the far side of the yard and promote Keaton to my personal guard. An Alpha King polishing his sword furiously while a one-armed swordsman smirks beside me is the best thing I have seen in 2 lifetimes. Examination day arrives with the whole academy in the stands. It is rigged before we walk in. I see it immediately. Sterling's team carries new weapons from academy storage. Their captain moves through the arena's terrain like he has rehearsed on it. Because he has. Crow sits in the provost's box wearing the patient expression of a man waiting for a scheduled humiliation. He designed this test for the old Naren. I am not him. The horn sounds and Sterling's team executes a flawless textbook formation, which is exactly their problem. Textbooks are threads and threads can be pulled. Concordance shows me their structure, rigid and beautiful and completely dependent on each member holding an assigned position. So I do not attack their strength. I disconnect it. Ridge drops ice fog across the arena, erasing their rehearsed sightlines. Their formation depends on visual signals. Gone. Arlo's crystals detonate in sequence, not to injure, but to herd, pushing their swordsmen out of position 1 meter at a time. Coulter feeds lightning into Keaton's new blade, and my one-armed swordsman meets their champion in the fog. Keaton disarms him in 4 moves. The crowd sound changes. Their second line panics and breaks formation, which is when Brooks does the thing nobody expects. An enemy cadet goes down hard, hurt by his own captain's wild ice strike. Brooks reaches him first, gloved hands on the boy's shoulder, and pulls the pain out of him without looking at the wound. He heals an opponent mid-match. The stands go silent, then very loud. Sterling himself comes for me at the end, furious and brilliant, and finds Blaine standing in his path as a wall of patient fire. Sterling's strike shatters against the barrier. The judges call it. Squad 13 wins. The Academy's garbage team beats the undefeated champions, and the Kings never once dominated the field. My misfits chant. Strangers chant. Somewhere in the noise I hear my own name, and something in my chest I buried in Philadelphia stirs. Sterling corners me in the tunnel afterward, immaculate and shaking. You cheated. There is no other explanation. Your score is 0. Your score is 98, I say. Want to know something funny about it? I touch the cracked assessment badge on his chest. I mean it as theater. Concordance means it as evidence. Golden light floods my vision. Sterling's power blazes on his badge, huge and bright, but it is not one thread. It is a braid. Dozens of thin golden lines feed into him from sources scattered across the Academy grounds. Hidden channels pumping energy into the Empire's favored Omega like tributaries into a river. Sterling is not powerful. Sterling is a collection. And one of those threads, thin and scarred and flickering, runs out of his badge across the tunnel floor and into my own chest. I stagger back. Sterling's badge flickers, and for 3 heartbeats his displayed score drops from 98 to 86 before recovering. His eyes go wide. He felt it too. What did you just do? He whispers. Nothing. That is the terrifying part. I leave him standing there and follow my own stolen thread. It runs beneath the arena, through a maintenance door with a lock that opens for my crest, down stairs that get colder with every step. The thread thickens as I descend, and it is not alone. Dozens of threads converge here from every direction, sliding through stone like veins toward a single heart. The room at the bottom hums. A machine fills the far wall, brass and crystal and old beyond reason, drinking golden light from every thread that enters. Rows of glass chambers glow along its spine, each one labeled with a subject number and a status. I find mine at the center, the oldest chamber, the brightest thread. The label reads, Subject 13, Continuous Extraction Stable. My score is not 0 because I am weak. My score is 0 because for 6 years, someone has been drinking me. Above the machine, fresh chalk marks a date on the wall. It is 6 days from now. Chapter 4. Ridge slams a 400-year-old document onto the table hard enough to wake the dust, which for Ridge is the equivalent of screaming. I decoded the charter, he says. All of it. Sit down. Nobody sits. He reads anyway. Squad 13 was never an ordinary team. It was founded during the Succession War as an internal blade, an anti-corruption unit answering to no provost, no council, no crown. Its captain holds temporary lawful authority over royal cadets, academy guards, financial records, combat resources, and every magical assessment system on the grounds. Coulter whistles. So when we signed under his name, you legally submitted your academy authority to him. Ridge's voice is flat. All three of us did. Blaine turns on me slowly. You knew. I knew nothing. You signed without reading, which your tutors should be executed for. I tapped the charter. But now it makes sense why Crow erased this squad from history. He did not bury a failed team. He buried a weapon that points at him. So we point it. The audit begins that night, quiet and merciless. Ridge pulls financial records with charter authority no clerk dares refuse. Coulter charms storage manifests out of quartermasters. Brooks cross-references medical logs. And the academy's rot comes up like a body from a lake. Missing funds, years of them. Medicine purchased for students and never distributed. Cadets whose magical scores collapse to zero within weeks of disciplinary hearings. Injured students transferred to facilities that do not appear on any Imperial map. Omega suppressants recorded in the ledgers as behavioral stabilizers. And payments, quiet and regular, flowing in from a dozen powerful alpha families whose children hold the Academy's highest ranks. Then Ridge finds my file. Mine meaning this body's. He hands it to me without a word, and Ridge without words is a warning. The file says Naren Vale volunteered for suppressant treatment at 17. The consent form carries his signature. Except I have spent weeks inside this body's memories, and I have written that name 100 times in his hand. The signature is forged, closed, but the loops are wrong. The medical assessment attached is worse. Aggressive tendencies, delusional episodes, difficulty understanding consent. They wrote that about the boy they were drugging. They built a paper version of him designed so that if he ever complained, ever fought back, ever told the truth, every word out of his mouth would sound like sickness. I have to put the file down and walk to the window. In Philadelphia, they at least waited until we were dead to rewrite us. We take this to the Royal Council, Blaine says behind me. Tonight, I will drag Crow out of his office myself.
No.
Rylan, he drugged you. He is stealing from children. And the moment you touch him without a sealed case, he burns every record we have not copied yet, and those transferred students disappear for good. I turn around. Anger without evidence is just a gift to the man you are angry at. I watched that mistake kill people. I am trying to protect you. You are trying to control the situation and calling it protection. Learn the difference or get out of my war room. The silence after that has weight. Blaine's fire literally rises, heat rolling off him, the alpha in him demanding the last word. Then he closes his eyes, exhales, and walks out without taking it. Coulter stares after him. He has never once done that. Then he is improving. Back to work. The night gets darker from there. Coulter maps the transferred students and finds that 7 of them have transfer orders with no destination. They left the academy on paper and arrived nowhere. When he reads the third name aloud, Brooks drops his teacup. It shatters, and Brooks, who faints at blood, does not even look down. Davy Avery, he whispers. That is my brother. They told my family he transferred to a coastal academy. He stopped writing 2 years ago. They said he was busy. Nobody speaks. Arlo quietly moves the broken glass away from Brooks's feet. Then Ridge makes a sound I have never heard from him. A small cracked breath. He is holding a disciplinary order from 3 years ago. An expulsion that fed one more zero-scored student into the machine downstairs. The approving signature at the bottom is elegant, precise, and unmistakable. Ridge Hawthorne. I never read this, he says. I sign hundreds of routine documents. I trusted the system to put only lawful papers in front of me. He sets it down like it is burning him. My signature helped him do this. Then your signature is going to help me end him. I say, evidence over guilt. Both are useful. Only one of them wins. It is past midnight when the last box gives up its secret. My medical file has a final page, sealed separately, stamped for the provost's eyes only. Ridge breaks the seal with charter authority and reads it twice before handing it over, and his hand is not steady. The page is a status report, updated in fresh ink within the last month. Subject 13 remains the primary source. Extraction stable despite consciousness irregularities following the platform incident. Note, subject has begun perceiving the concordance. Monitor for full awakening. If full awakening occurs, termination is authorized. I read it 3 times. The words do not improve. Crow is not a corrupt administrator who got greedy. He has known exactly what this body is from the beginning. He built his entire machine on top of it. And the platform incident, the consciousness irregularity he is monitoring, has a name. Me. The suppressants were never punishment. They were a leash. And somewhere in that administration hall, a man with a medical seal and a termination order already knows the leash is breaking. The chalk date under the arena is 5 days away. Chapter 5. The beast clears the arena wall in one silent leap, and it is not the animal listed on our examination schedule. We were assigned a juvenile shadow hound, a training creature, all noise and no teeth. What lands in the sand in front of 1,200 spectators is an adult void beast, black as a hole in the world, big as a wagon, and it does not look at the other cadets at all. It looks at me. It inhales, and I understand with perfect, freezing clarity that this thing has been given my scent. Withdrawing from the exam would have let Crow revoke our charter. So here I am, bait in a sanctioned murder, while the provost watches from his box with a face full of professional concern. Formation, I shout, but the beast is already moving, faster than anything that size deserves to be, cutting through our line like smoke. Keaton's blade passes through its flank and finds nothing. Arlo's crystals detonate inside its body and the explosions simply go out. Swallowed. Cannot be touched. It was built that way. It exists for one job. Me. I run, because I am sassy, not stupid, and the beast follows me across the arena while the crowd screams. And that is when the real disaster happens, the one I should have predicted. The triplets watch the creature close on me, and all 3 of them break at once. Blaine detonates. Not attacks, detonates, a pillar of royal fire that turns the sand to glass. Ridge's pressure slams down hard enough to crack the arena wall. Coulter's lightning goes wide and wild, forking toward the stands. 3 uncontrolled powers colliding, feeding, climbing toward something that will kill the beast, and me and every spectator in the first 20 rows. Their threads blaze in my vision. 3 storms strangling each other, seconds from bursting. So I do the only thing my Philadelphia brain knows how to do at a disaster site. I run toward the explosion. I step into the center of their colliding power, seize all 3 threads with both hands and my whole burning mind, and pull them into one braid. Fire becomes the wall. Pressure becomes the cage. Lightning becomes the spear. Their chaos snaps into a single formation with the void beast trapped inside it. And their combined strike, disciplined for the first time in their lives, burns the creature out of existence in 1 white second. The silence afterward is enormous. Then my legs quit, my vision fills with gold, and the last thing I hear is 3 voices shouting my name in the same breath. I do not wake up, not right away. I sink, and at the bottom of this body, under 6 years of suppressants, the buried memories are waiting for me. A tree, the great one by the eastern tower, decades younger. For boys underneath it, Naren, small and bright and unafraid, laughing, and 3 identical alpha children fighting over who gets to sit beside him. Blaine tying a red training ribbon around Naren's wrist with clumsy 9-year-old fingers. Ridge reading to him, Coulter teaching him to whistle. And a promise, sworn the way children swear, all 4 hands stacked together. When we are grown, we choose you, all 3 of us, forever. Then the memory tears. A gray-haired man with a medical bag, a needle. Naren screaming for boys who suddenly walk past him in the corridor with polite, empty eyes, their memories of him surgically gone. Crow did not just drug this body. He erased it from the people who loved it. I wake in the tower infirmary with tears already on my face and Blaine asleep in a chair beside my bed, still in his scorched uniform, his hand resting near mine on the blanket without touching it. He wakes the moment I move. No crown, no coat, no command in him at all. Just a man who looks like he aged a year in an afternoon. You stepped between us and that thing, he says roughly. You were about to kill 400 people. I would rather burn the academy down than watch you die. His voice cracks straight through the middle. When it charged you, I felt a grief that was too old, bigger than one day. I do not understand it. I do. And the truth climbs out of me before fear can stop it. When you come close, my body remembers being loved by you, all three of you, but I do not know if that feeling belongs to me, or to the person whose body this was, or to whatever crow left in both of us. Wanting you feels like losing control of my own mind, and control is the only thing I have ever owned. Blaine stands, crosses the room slowly, stops an arm's length away, this man who commands armies, and asks in a voice barely above breath, "May I touch you?" The most dominant alpha in the empire asking. That undoes me more than any kiss could. I nod. He cups my face in both hands like I am precious instead of useful, and our first kiss is almost nothing, a question against my mouth. I answer it. The second kiss is mine, hungry, cedar smoke flooding my lungs, his power wrapping around me warm and huge and waiting instead of taking. I break it before it becomes more. He releases me instantly, completely, stepping back with his hands open. That restraint is worth more than the kiss. The door bangs open. Ridge stands in it, charter pages in his fist, looking like a man who has run the length of the academy. I finished the decoding, he says. Crow did not erase Squad 13 because it failed. He erased it because its captain has the lawful authority to remove a provost from office. He looks at me. Rylan, you are the only person alive who can legally destroy him. He has 4 days to kill you first. Chapter 6. Sterling Wynn is standing in our tower doorway at midnight with the arena recording in his hands, and he is crying without knowing it. I saved a copy before they erased it, he says. The Beast exam. I watched it 11 times. That creature was trained on your scent, and Crow signed the requisition. He holds the crystal out like it burns. Tell me I am wrong. I do not tell him he is wrong. I do something crueler. I tell him the truth. We sit him down in the war room, and I touch his cracked badge, and I let Concordance light the threads where everyone can see them, golden lines feeding into his chest from suppressed students all over the academy. From Brooks's missing brother. From Arlo. From me. Your 98 was never yours, I say quietly. Crow built you. Your medication, your schedule, your rank. You are his advertisement. Proof the system works, so nobody asks why the rest of us fail. Sterling makes it to the window before he is sick. When he can speak again, his voice is a ruin. Everything I am proud of, my scores, my friends, my whole self, it is stolen. He looks at me with real fear. You could announce this tomorrow. Destroy me in front of the Empire. I would deserve it.
No.
The king's turn. Sterling stares. A corrupt system survives by convincing its victims to fight over the stolen prize. I say, that is how it worked in my first life too. Crow wants me to hate you. He built you to be hated. I am not doing his work for him. I do not promise him it will be painless. Losing borrowed power never is. But by sunrise, Sterling Wynn is ours, and he is terrified, and he is in. The days after that change the brothers in ways I pretend not to notice. Blaine follows my orders through 2 dangerous record raids without arguing once. Ridge stands before the squad and reads aloud every wrongful ruling that carries his signature. Voice steady, hands not. And Coulter, our comedian, sits with Brooks while he describes his brother's last letter, and does not make a single joke. He just listens, and then he says, I laughed through years of this so I would not have to look at it. That laughing helped it happen. Brooks forgives him. Coulter does not forgive himself, which is how I know it is real. Then Crow stops playing defense. It happens at the full academy assembly, in front of every cadet and instructor. Crow takes the stage, gray and grave and reasonable, and announces that the royal triplets have fallen under the influence of a dangerous Omega who has manipulated their instincts through unregulated pheromones. He reads my forged medical file aloud. Aggressive, delusional, unable to understand consent. Every word designed years ago for exactly this moment. For the safety of the Imperial line, Crow says, Cadet Ryland Pierce will be detained for evaluation. Academy guards pour into the hall. 40 of them, ringing my squad with drawn weapons while 300 cadets watch. Blaine ignites, ridges frost webs across the floor. I put a hand on each of them, because this is the moment Crow wants. Kings attacking guards, proof of my corruption written in fire. Instead, I raise my marked wrist and I let the charter speak. The golden crest blazes. My voice comes out doubled, mine and something older underneath it, rolling through the hall with the weight of wartime law. By the authority of Squad 13, restored under Imperial Charter, I order the Academy Guard to stand down. The effect is instant and terrible. Half the guards freeze mid-step, weapons lowering against their own will as the ancient command grips their oaths. The other half, the ones whose threads I can see running gold and rotten straight back to Crow's office, push forward anyway. Bought men. Crow's private wall. The hall dissolves into shouting. Cadets stampede. In the chaos, Sterling grabs my arm and drags me behind a pillar, and his face is gray. There is no time left, so listen, he hisses. The final tournament in 3 days. Crow moved it into the grand arena, the one built over the extraction chamber. He is requiring every cadet to wear a new academy mark for scoring. He pulls back his collar. A fresh black sigil sits over his collarbone, and my concordance screams at the sight of it, because the mark is not a mark. It is a valve. I heard him through his office door, Sterling whispers. He is not planning to steal another fraction from us. The machine is finished. At the tournament, he is going to drain every student in that arena at once. All of them, to the bottom. The pillar is cold against my back. 1,200 cadets. One arena. One switch. Crow is not running a corrupt academy. He is harvesting a generation. Across the hall, through the running crowd, Crow finds my eyes. He is not angry that his arrest order failed. He is smiling, small and patient, like a man whose opponent has just moved exactly where he wanted. And that is the moment I finally ask the right question, the one I should have asked in the machine room. Crow has had 6 years and a termination order. He could have killed this body 100 quiet ways. He never did. He kept me stable, federal enrolled, extracted but alive, the brightest thread in his whole design. The machine does not just steal power. It needs mine. Whatever happens in that arena in 3 days, Subject 13 is not one of the victims. Subject 13 is the engine. Ridge reaches me through the crowd, pulling me toward the doors, and I let him, while over my shoulder Crow mouths 4 words across the burning hall, calm as a bedtime story. See you at the tournament. Chapter 7. The academy gates seal at dawn with a sound like a coffin closing, and every crest in the tower goes dark at once. Blaine snaps his fingers against cold air. No fire. Ridge presses his palm to the wall and Frost refuses to come. Coulter shakes his hand like a dead lighter. Crow controls the Academy's magical network, and overnight he has cut the royal triplets out of it, declared them compromised, suspended Squad 13, and locked 1,200 students inside with him. For the first time in their lives, the 3 most powerful alphas in the Empire are just 3 tall men in a dusty tower. Blaine stares at his empty hands. I have never been powerless. Congratulations, I say, buckling my boots. Welcome to everyone else's whole life. Now follow the people who are good at it. Because here is the thing Crow's network cannot switch off. Keaton's sword arm, Brooks's hands, Arlo's chemistry, and a captain who spent one entire life working disasters without a drop of magic. The weakest team in the academy carries its kings. Keaton leads us out through a collapsed drainage line he mapped during cleaning duty, one arm and total calm, moving 3 princes through the dark like cargo. Arlo's crystals, powered by chemistry instead of crest magic, crack open 2 sealed maintenance doors. When we pass beneath the detention level and hear prisoners crying out under questioning, Brooks presses his gloved hands to the sealing stone and pulls their pain into himself, teeth clenched, so the guards hear silence and get bored. He faints afterward. Keaton carries him. Nobody calls him weak ever again. I guide us by threadlight, down stairways that are not on any map, into the hidden structure beneath the academy, following the golden veins toward the machine's heart. The tunnels open wider as we go, older, and then Coulter stops walking because the wall ahead is not a wall. It is glass. Rows of chambers stretch into the dark, dozens of them, each one holding a sleeping student suspended in gold light, threads running out of their chests into the machine's spine. The transferred cadets. The disappeared. Not dead. Stored. Living batteries stacked in the Empire's basement. Brooks walks the row with his heart in his throat, and at the 9th chamber his knees give out. Davy! His brother floats behind the glass, older than his last photograph, thin, breathing, alive. Brooks puts both hands on the chamber and sobs like something breaking open. Arlo is already reading the release panel. I can crack these. All of them, maybe 10 minutes. I check the threads and my stomach drops, because the answer is written right there in gold. Every chamber feeds the network that holds the Academy's foundations. Rip them all free at once and the discharge collapses the arena above us, with 1,200 cadets in it. Slow release, I say. One chamber at a time, drained gradually. Hours, not minutes. Crow's men are behind us, Keaton warns. Then we buy hours. I look at Brooks, at his brother in the glass. We do it right or we kill the people upstairs to feel like heroes. That is not a real choice. Brooks wipes his face and nods. We start the slow rescue, chamber by chamber, and when Crow's bot guards find our corridor, Coulter does the bravest thing I have ever watched a prince do with no powers at all. There is an unstable energy gate between us and them, an old wartime barrier that has to be held open by hand from the far side for the freed students to pass. Holding it burns. Coulter grabs it anyway. He holds that gate for 11 minutes while we move unconscious students through. His arms blistering, his jokes getting quieter and then stopping, and he does not let go until the last stretcher passes. When I pull him free, his hands are ruined and his eyes are wet and he says, "Tell Brooks his brother made it through," before he passes out. I hold his burned hands and I do not turn it into forgiveness, because sacrifice is not an eraser. But I hold them. It is Blaine, in the dark of that tunnel with his brother unconscious between us, who finally breaks the last secret open. "You need to hear this from me before Crow uses it," he says low. "The night we signed your roster, it was not only the silence you gave us. The Royal Council had ordered us, weeks earlier, to get close to the zero-scored Omega and monitor him. You were an assignment, Rylan. That is why 3 kings walked into that courtyard. The tunnel goes very quiet. Everything reshuffles. The signatures, the breakfast deliveries, the competition to stand near me. An assignment. It stopped being that almost immediately," Blaine says. "You know it did." "What I know," I say, and my voice comes out level, which costs me everything, "is that the first honest thing between us was a lie wearing my face. Feelings that grew later do not clean the root." I step back from him. "All 3 of you are out of my personal quarters until this war is over. Captain and soldiers. Nothing else. We resolve the academy first, and me never on a battlefield." He takes it. That is the only thing he does right in this tunnel. He takes it. We surface at dusk to find the sky burning with projected light. Crow's face, 50 feet tall above the academy, broadcast across the capital, across the empire. "Citizens, the Hawthorne triplets have been compromised and are hereby named traitors to the crown. And the creature responsible is not an Omega at all." His voice drops, warm and horrified, a showman's grief. "The body of Cadet Rylan Pierce is inhabited by a foreign consciousness. A dead man from another world. It even has a name. The whole empire hears it with me. Tate Rhodes." Chapter 8. The name lands on me like the building that killed me, and for 10 full seconds I forget how lungs work. Crow knows about Philadelphia. He knows about the collapse, the ignored report, the dying. He speaks my old name to an empire that heard it before I did in this world. And then he twists the knife with surgical love. Ask yourself how a dead coordinator from another world arrived in that exact body. His giant face says, gentle as poison. Deaths like his are rarely accidents. Doors like him are never opened by chance. Come to me, Tate. I can tell you who arranged your first death. He is offering me the one thing I cannot dig up myself. The truth about how I died. And I want it. That is the ugly part. Standing in the dusk with my squad watching, I want it badly enough to taste it. And Crow knows I do, because he has read this body's files and my behavior for weeks. The bait is built for me, which is exactly why I do not take it. He is trying to make me abandon 1,200 kids to chase my own ghost. I say out loud, so the wanting loses its grip. Students first. My death has waited a year. It can wait a week. We build the counterplan that night in the tunnel dark, and it is the best disaster response I have ever designed, because every piece is a person the Academy threw away. Sterling returns to Crow wearing his loyal face, our knife inside the provost's pocket. Ridge duplicates the audit for 100 copies, sealed for every royal counselor and every news office in the capital. Coulter, bandaged hands and all, rewires the tournament broadcast crystals so that whatever we choose can be seen by the Empire. Blaine takes the civilians, evacuation routes, shield posts, protecting people instead of possessing them. The misfits get the secondary extraction points. And I take the center, the machine, alone, because the engine room is built to recognize only Subject 13. The tournament morning comes gray and silent. 1,200 cadets file into the grand arena wearing Crow's black valve marks, and the trap needs a key to open, so we hand Crow the key he expects. Sterling betrays me in front of everyone. He does it perfectly. Mid-ceremony, he seizes my arm, denounces me as the foreign consciousness, and delivers me to the provost's guards while the stands roar. It is so convincing that Blaine, who was not told this part because his face cannot lie, has to be held back by Ridge, and the raw betrayal on him hurts to see even though I built it. The guards drag me down into the central chamber, right next to the master machine, exactly where I could never have walked freely. Sterling leans close as they chain me, and breathes. Forgive me later. You are in position. Then it all goes fast. Ridge's 400 sealed audits open across the capital at the stroke of noon. Coulter's hijacked broadcast pours the evidence into the sky, forged files, stolen funds, the storage chambers, the children in glass. The Royal Council, watching from the Imperial box, rises in horror that is not performed. Counselors we have never met shout Crow's arrest order over the arena. And Crow surrenders. That is the moment I should have run. He does not fight. He does not flee. He lets the Imperial Guard take his arms, lets them march him to the arena floor, dignified and ruined, while 1,200 cadets scream in triumph and the gates unseal and the Empire celebrates the fall of the monster in real time. Blaine finds me freed and alive. Brooks hugs his waking brother in the stands. Somewhere the misfits are chanting. For one shining minute we won, clean and public and legal, everything I promised. Then I see Crow's face up close as they walk him past me. He is smiling, patient, the exact smile from the assembly hall. And my concordance opens on its own, screaming, because the golden threads under the arena are moving. The sealed audit chamber Ridge opened at noon. The broadcast crystals Coulter rewired. The charter authority I invoked to free the prisoners. 3 ancient locks, 3 of us each turned willingly. The machine's final activation sequence was never a switch in Crow's office. It was a legal process. It required the lawful captain of Squad 13, acting with royal consent, to open the sealed systems in the correct order. Crow could never have finished his machine, so he made me finish it. Thank you, Captain, he says softly as he passes, for your service. Every Academy mark in the arena turns red at once. 1,200 cadets grab their collarbones. The gates slam and seal. The valve marks open, and golden light begins ripping upward out of 1,000 bodies at the same moment. Screams replacing cheers so fast the sound breaks. Crow stands up inside his restraints and shrugs them off like wet paper, drinking the flood, his gray body igniting with the stolen strength of hundreds, and the guards holding him are thrown across the sand. The arena floor shudders. Then the entire structure tears loose from the earth. Stone screams. Chains of raw gold light haul the grand arena into the sky, a floating cage 1,000 feet up with every student of the Imperial Academy trapped inside it, draining. Crow's voice rolls over the terrified crowd, amplified by power that used to be theirs. The weakest students built this empire with their stolen strength. Tonight they will die maintaining it. Below us, through the arena's torn foundations, I can see the machine's heart glowing in the exposed earth, and my own chest ignites an answer, the oldest thread of all pulling tight. The engine is calling for Subject 13, and it is not asking. Chapter 9. The thread yanks me off my feet and drags me across the arena floor toward the exposed machine heart, and I stop fighting it because the engine room is exactly where I need to be. Around me, the sky cage is dying. 1,200 cadets on their knees, gold light tearing out of them into Crow, who stands at the arena's center like a man being crowned by lightning. Blaine hurls fire at him, and the fire simply changes ownership mid-air, swallowed into Crow's glow. Nobody can strike him without striking the stolen power of the children he is wearing. So we do not strike him. We unbuild him. Positions, I shout, and the discarded do what the elite never could. Brooks plants both hands on the arena floor and opens himself to the network's pain feedback. 1,200 people's agony flowing into one fainting beta healer who does not faint, who screams and holds, buying every cadet minutes of survival with his own nerves. Keaton moves along the arena rim with his counterweight blade, severing the physical anchor chains one-armed, each cut tilting the floating cage back toward the earth. Arlo laughs like a madman and detonates the secondary conduits, chemistry against magic, blowing the machine's tributaries shut. Sterling stands in the open, tears his own badge from his chest, and releases the artificial score he spent a lifetime worshipping. 98 points of borrowed light leave him in a river, returning to their owners, and the boy who remains is smaller, and shaking and finally real. Ridge lifts the charter and converts it, on live broadcast, into a public legal command stripping Crow of every office, every protection, every claim, so that what happens next is law and not revenge. Coulter's bandaged hands hold the broadcast steady, forcing the Empire to watch its own crime. And Blaine, who could seize the moment, who could seize me, plants himself between me and Crow and does nothing but shield, refusing control at the exact moment control would be forgiven. I climb into the machine's heart. Inside is gold and silence. The Concordance network spreads around me, every thread in the Academy meeting in this room, and at last I understand what the founders built. Not a weapon, a ledger. Every stolen point, every forged score, every siphoned child recorded in light, waiting for someone who could read it. So I make the Empire read it. I throw the ledger into the sky. Above the arena, above the Capitol, every altered score and stolen ability and false medical file and family payment blazes across the clouds in letters of fire, names and numbers and signatures, decades of theft published at once. Mothers in the stands find their children's names on the victim rolls. Counselors find their own payments. The Empire's finest families watch their ranks dissolve into arithmetic. Crow feels his foundation crack, and he comes for me with the strength of 1,000 students. And then he stops and offers me the world. Keep it, he says, and the machine hums agreement around me because it likes me, it was tuned to me, I am its favorite thread. The network answers Subject 13 now. Take the power. Command your kings. Rule the rankings. You, the discarded Omega, the ignored coordinator, never dismissed again. All you have to do is leave the extraction standing. And there it is. The real examination. Not the beast, not the tournament. Every stolen life in this network could make me untouchable. Powerful men would finally listen to me. They listened to Crow too. I spent one life being ignored by powerful men, I tell him, and I would rather be ignored for another 100 lives than become the reason someone else is drained. I seize the master thread, and I reverse the flow. The machine fights me. It loves me and it fights me, and reversing it costs what I knew it would cost because the network's anchor is Subject 13, and you cannot drain a lake and keep the river. Gold light pours out of the sky, out of Crow, out of the ledger, back down 10,000 threads into the bodies it was stolen from. Cadets rise off their knees glowing. Sleeping students in glass chambers open their eyes. Sterling gasps as his true, small, honest score settles into him like a heartbeat. And Crow empties. The borrowed divinity drains out of him thread by thread until what stands in the arena is a gray old administrator in a torn coat, ordinary and outnumbered, surrounded by 1,200 witnesses wearing their own returned light. He runs. Beneath the stands, into the dark he built. Coulter is waiting for him with 2 burned hands and no joke at all. The arrest is lawful. Ridge reads the charges on broadcast, his own voice steady over his own guilty signature, prosecution as penance. And Blaine stands over the kneeling man who drugged me, leashed me, and ordered my termination, fire gathered in his fist, and then opens his fingers and lets it go out, because I asked for justice and not ash, and loving me now means choosing my way over his instincts. The arena settles to earth. The Empire is still reading the sky. Only I know what the reversal took. I reach for the golden threads, for the concordance that found the misfits and caught the kings and beat the machine. Nothing. Gray, ordinary vision. The power went back down the river with everything else, home to wherever it was first stolen from. I am, at last, genuinely scoreless. I find I do not mind. It was never the threads that placed people where they belonged. Then, beneath the stands, a maintenance monitor no one has touched in decades flickers on by itself. Static. Then a man's voice, low and unhurried, speaking to me alone. Tate Rhodes, your first death was not an accident. And Crow was never the one who opened the door. Chapter 10. The monitor dies before I can touch it, and I stand in the dark under the stands memorizing a voice I have never heard and somehow already know. I do not chase it. That is the old Tate, the man who ran at every fire alone. Instead, I walk back up into the light, where 1,200 glowing students are hugging strangers, and I file the voice away next to my death. Unfinished business in a drawer that will open when I choose. The reforms take months, and I fight for everyone. Independent power assessments, run by rotating examiners no family can buy. Medical consent protections with teeth so no one can ever again be drugged and called a volunteer. Student seats on the governing council. Compensation and healing for every extracted cadet. Davy Avery first in line with Brooks never leaving his side. Squad 13 restored permanently as the Academy's watchdog. One disciplinary law for royals and commoners alike. And the force team and bond contracts, the ones that traded Omegas like furniture, abolished in a single vote while I watch from the gallery and do not cry in public, mostly. The council offers me the marshal's seat. I refuse it twice, then accept on one condition that confuses every aristocrat in the room. They must retain the power to remove me by democratic review. Authority nobody can question, I tell them, is just Crow with better manners. Sterling rebuilds himself from his honest 31 points, and it turns out the real Sterling is a ferociously good teacher of struggling first years, which no stolen 98 ever taught him. We are not friends exactly. We are something better, survivors of the same lie. And then there are my kings, whose childhood memories come home to them slowly through that spring. The Eastern tree, the ribbon, the promise, for small hands stacked in the sun. They arrive at my tower one evening glowing with recovered certainty. 3 grown men holding one restored childhood, expecting it to open my door. I do not open it. The boy under that tree was Naren. I tell them through the doorway gently, because gentleness is not weakness. I carry him. I honor him. But I am also Tate, and the man in front of you is a third person the two of us built together. You do not get to love a memory and collect me as its interest. If you want me, court me. The person here now. From the beginning. Ridge recovers first. Terms, Captain. So I give them terms. No royal commands ever in any room we share. No entering my quarters without invitation. No scenting my belongings. And yes, Coulter, pillows are belongings. No using childhood memories as leverage in arguments. Separate dates before any shared courtship. And any violation pauses everything while we talk like adults. Blaine agrees on the spot, which from him is a love letter. Ridge requests a written copy, signs it, and files it, which from him is also a love letter. Coulter complains that I have outlawed all his best strategies. Then shows up to our first date with flowers he grew himself in the tower's ruined garden, because his burned hands needed something to heal around. The courtship is slow and it is glorious. Blaine learns to ask, and discovers asking gets him more than commanding ever did. Ridge and I argue case law until midnight and call it romance, because for us it is. Coulter makes me laugh until I forget 2 lifetimes of bracing for impact. And one warm night at the restored Eastern Tower, under the tree where 4 children once stacked their hands, I invite all 3 of them in. They surround me the way weather surrounds a house. Cedar smoke and winter rain and warm spice folding over me. 3 storms holding perfectly still, and not one of them touches me until I say the word. When I say it, the world goes soft and golden, and what happens after is ours, passionate and unhurried and finally, completely chosen, and the door closes on the rest. Afterward, wrapped in 3 heartbeats, I understand the lesson my whole strange second life was building toward. Surrender was never the same as defeat. Defeat is having your choices taken. Surrender is standing in an open door, knowing you could leave and deciding to stay. I stayed. Powerful men finally listened, and it turned out the secret was never shouting louder. It was refusing to shrink. Months later, 3 courtship rings appear on my table. Fire gold, frost silver, storm bronze. Not one of them is placed on my hand. They wait the way real love waits, for an answer freely given. I am reaching for them when the knock comes. A palace servant, pale as paper, delivers a small black and gold case with no sender. Inside sits a 4th insignia, and my blood turns to winter, because engraved on its face is the burned crest from the sealed chamber, whole and unharmed, the erased 4th seat restored. Ridge takes one look and goes gray. That is impossible. That is a Hawthorne royal cipher. An elder line. His voice drops. We had a brother, Rhett. He was removed from every record before we could walk. I signed the archive seal myself and never knew what I was sealing. On the back of the insignia, 6 engraved words. 3 kings joined your team. The 4th has been waiting. I turn to the tower window, and across the academy grounds, just beyond the gates in the falling dusk, stands a man identical to my 3 kings, older by a shadow, patient as that voice beneath the stands. He looks directly at me, and he silently mouths one word across the distance. Tate. Some doors, it turns out, were opened for me long before I died. That story is coming. Subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss it, and share your thoughts in the comments, because your voice might be the one that inspires someone else to stop shrinking. The end.